The last live, Stephen, and
Evening, everybody.
evening.
Welcome to Cannon Chatter TV with me, Stephen, in a very somber mood today. As always, joined by G over in London, and delighted that friend of the show, Chris Davison, is back on with us. How are you, Chris?
I'm very well, thank you, Stephen. Thank you guys for having me back on. I wish we could be in a good mood tonight and talking about lots of positive Arsenal developments, but it's just not to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, it would be nice. How are you, G?
Yeah, I'm good. Obviously, we watched the game last night together, and I think you could probably even tell, feeling quite flat today. This morning and kind of throughout the day. So I know we're going to kind of get into it in tonight's show. But yeah, I'm very well this end in London. Hopefully everybody is who's watching. But yeah, just, kind of looking forward to the show, not for probably the right reasons, but just to kind of get, everybody's thoughts and feelings after last night's game.
Good. Sorry, bear with me one sec. My phones are going crazy here. There we go. Yeah, so disappointing evening. Plenty to talk about tonight. Obviously, we've got the game last night. We've got Sunday's game coming up. We've got KSE. We've got Arteta. We've got Daniel Ek. We've got so much stuff we can talk about. So we'll roll the title and we'll get into it.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing. The first time it's happened.
So yes, overall, I know certainly myself, I've been feeling very flat today. And I think, to be honest, I was feeling very flat last night. I wasn't even angry. I sat there watching the game and I was just like, I'm expecting this. I don't know why I was so confident that we could come through. And I just, the lack of passion and the lack of enthusiasm and energy from that team, it really baffled me. So, I think the easiest thing for us to do is just get straight into it. We'll talk about the game. There's not a whole lot actually really to talk about in terms of incidents and stuff in the game. So, we can talk a bit about it. But I think really what we need to do is we really need to look at where we go from here. Where do we go for the rest of the season? Where do we go going forward over the summer in the next season? Is Arteta the right man to lead us there? And I think, it's hard to know. And there's so many varying opinions. I was on Twitter a little bit today, and the amount of people that have gone from being Arteta in to Arteta out in one game is amazing. And it's interesting to see what people think. Razor57, hey guys, hey, thanks for joining us. So first thing we'll do, just bear with me, I'll just cue this up, is we'll talk about the team. So team news came out, and the team was Leno in goal, Bellerin right back, Holding and Murray in the centre. Originally, it looked like it was going to be Granit Xhaka, obviously at left back, and then he seemed to get injured in the warm-up, and Tierney came in. It's hard to sort of know really the formation that they did play, but my understanding was it was Partey as a holding midfielder with Odegaard and Smith Rowe, and then Pepe and Shaka on the flanks and Aubameyang in the middle. Chris, what was your thoughts when you seen the lineup?
Well, I thought it was a very attacking-minded lineup, as you'd expect. We needed to get a goal. A bit of a shame about Granit Xhaka, but then obviously we were sort of excited to see Tierney back in, but unfortunately, just as it showed last night, he was nowhere near match fit, and he struggled during the 90 minutes. In terms of Murray and Holding at the back, again, no real surprises there, considering that statistically they are our best performing centre backs. I mean, I know a few people were surprised to see Bellerin back in. They think that Chambers had been doing well, but again, I think it was probably best to bring Bellerin back in. He didn't plan too much, and Chambers had played a few games So maybe he was just looking to give Chambers a rest. Do you know, looking back, I really think we missed sort of Granit Xhaka and Partey alongside each other in midfield. I think Partey plays a lot better with Granit next to him as well. Obviously, good to see Odegaard and Smith Rowe playing together. That was exciting, and we know they're two players that can create lots of chances and get things happening up front. In terms of Pepe and Shaka, again, two really important players going forward, can score goals, can create chances, and I guess the big one was Aubameyang up front after obviously being ill with malaria. Again, just like Tierney probably not being 100% fit. I think Uber said that himself pre-match. But he had two fantastic chances to score, as I'm sure we'll go on to in a minute. And I'm sure he'll be absolutely gutted he didn't put those chances away yesterday. So in terms of the starting 11, I think considering who we had available, there was obviously lots of absentees, a few people not 110% match fit. It was the strongest we could have gone for. Looking back at it, that starting 11 was more than capable to get the job done last night, but for whatever reason it didn't.
Yeah, and obviously I agree with you. I mean, for me, there's no reason what we had on the pitch shouldn't have won that game. So, and we'll come on to this later on. It's where's the disconnect? Where are we struggling? For me, they couldn't hit a barn door this lot at the minute. I obviously we've seen a lot of stuff today. Obviously the blame being put on Arteta, and maybe so. Maybe Arteta is to blame. But when I look at that team, Pepe, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Shaka, and Aubameyang, I mean that is 5 players that you should be going, they should be creating and scoring a hatful of goals. So the fact that they didn't score any, it's baffling. G, what was your thoughts when you seen the lineup?
To be honest, I have to be honest. When I saw the lineup, I didn't really have any kind of major concerns. I think when the lineup came out, we kind of messaged each other. And I think the only thing that, if I was going to nitpick, the thing I was probably most unhappy about, which I've been unhappy about for the last couple of games, is the fact that Xhaka was starting left back. Obviously Arteta's gone with him at left back. He had planned to play him at left back, which we all knew was gonna happen. But that for me, I'm going to stick to my guns. I don't understand the logic behind it. So that was a worry, given, not so much about his performance, because I do feel as though Xhaka is playing to the best of his ability in that position. But given, the situation against Everton where, Richarlison literally, Usain bolted him down the wing. And then you've got obviously the situation with regards to the first leg against Villarreal, where he kind of, just didn't make a tackle, and one could say he was at fault for the first goal. I thought to myself, yeah, okay, Xhaka at left back is a bit worrying. And I didn't really understand why Bellerin came back into the side. I just don't quite get what's going on at Arsenal with regards to right back situation. It's like, you've got Bellerin, who started the season as first choice. You've got Cedric, who Arteta brought in. It's his player. They've scouted him. They've brought him in. He seemed to be, our first choice right back. Then all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, he can't get a game. And then Chambers is doing really well. He gets brought into the side. And then for the biggest game of the season, Bellerin automatically gets a starting spot. So I think the wing back positions was a little bit of a surprise for me. But other than that, honestly, I looked at the team and I thought, I completely understand why he's played Leno, Holding, Mari, Partey, all the rest, the front players. I had no real complaints. I didn't look at the side and thought to myself, oh God, he's messed this up. I thought that he picked a relatively strong side. As Chris said, given, the noticeable injuries we've got. So in terms of who we knew was fit, I thought the team was good, and I thought that the team he picked, had they turned up, they would have beaten Villarreal last night, but they obviously didn't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. in terms of that front five, would you have picked anybody else? I mean, would you have started Martinelli, given the fact that obviously he's gone for Shaka on the right and Pepe on the left? I know obviously a number of people had said put Shaka in at left back rather than Shaka, but given the fact that he was going with Shaka, and obviously when Shaka got injured, he went for Tierney. Would you have started with Martinelli over Pepe or Shaka?
You know what? It's really easy to kind of say that in hindsight. That Martinelli should have started, but and I think there's an argument that Martinelli should have started. But for me, there's also an argument that Pepe should have started. His best form has been in the Europa League. He's played really well in the competition, and he's our record signing. And it's like if we can't kind of call upon our more experienced players, on occasion like that, then it's almost like why are they in the squad? Why are they at the club? So I understand fully the logic behind choosing Pepe and Shaka, or choosing Pepe over Martinelli. I think Arsenal fans, we will say oh, Martinelli should have started, but nah, for me, it's a 50-50. I can see the logic. If Martinelli was in the starting 11, I wouldn't have had any qualms with him being selected. I wouldn't have been like, oh my God, how's he dropped Pepe? And the fact that he went with Pepe and dropped Martinelli again, I was like, okay, well, he's given Pepe the nod. I'm sure we'll see Martinelli at some point in the night. So yeah, no. For me, I think the front players, if they're all fit, I think throughout the whole season, we've kind of struggled to actually pick who our best front players are. We don't seem to know who they are because it's crazy because we're sitting there saying that we've got an abundance of attacking options, but yeah, whoever we put on the pitch can't score. So yeah. It's just ironic, really.
Absolutely. Chris, what about you? Would you have played Martinelli over Pepe or Shaka?
Yeah, I'm kind of with G on this one. I was very split. We know what Martinelli brings to the team. Really good work rate. He creates chances. Obviously, got a goal in him as well. Gives everything out on the pitch. But at the same time, Pepe's sort of come to life a little bit, especially in the Europa League. He's been quite an important player for us. He's been scoring goals. Shaka, I mean. Look, we could sit here and argue that he could have played maybe Shaka at fullback instead of obviously replacing Shaka when he was injured. Tierney was obviously at a huge risk last night. We saw that he wasn't nowhere near match fit. But who knows? Maybe Tierney went to the manager and just said, "Boss, I can play. Trust me. I feel I'm ready." We obviously don't know what was said behind the scenes. But going forward, in terms of Pepe being on the left, Shaka on the right, I didn't really have any sort of question marks over that. Like G said, Pepe's been sort of doing well in Europa League, and it's probably important to keep that sort of confidence up for him and start him. But even though we could say about Martinelli starting, but even when he comes off the bench, he instantly brings so much more energy and work rate and gets things working. So to be honest, just looking back on how things went last night, even if Martinelli did start maybe Shaka at left back or whatever, I don't think it would have made a huge difference because let's be honest, the whole 11 didn't play well last night, nowhere near good enough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Tierney, you could see. I mean, I said to G after 10 minutes he was done. Mm-hmm. He was blowing, struggling to get back. It was taking him forever to get back. He had been up on attack, and the next thing they countered, and he was nowhere to be seen. And it was a bit kind of like Bellerin during the match as well. There was quite a number of their attacks where you looked and you sort of the whole screen. Bellerin was nowhere to be seen. And he seemed to be really laboured and slow last night as well, more so than normal. So yeah, I mean the Martinelli one as well for me. I've said it before, but we put a lot of pressure on him, and I think he has been protected a little. And I see people coming out today and going, "Oh, there's an issue there," and Arteta doesn't like Martinelli and stuff. And I don't believe that's true for 1 second. I think it's hard to drop Shaka, because Shaka has been one of our best players for the last year and a half. And it's hard to drop Pepe because Pepe's done so well in this competition and deserves his opportunity to play. So unless he goes with Martinelli up front, and then you've got to drop Aubameyang, who's your captain and your talisman. So, it's a tough decision, and it's a hard one to do. A couple of comments before we talk a wee bit more about the match. Let's see, Buster there. I think we missed Shaka's passing range yesterday. Yeah, we did. I think, actually, what we really missed yesterday was David Luiz. I think, if David Luiz had been playing in defence, he could have exploited their high line. They were defended on the halfway line because they weren't bothered. And he could have exploited that and found so much room in behind him with his range of passing. Razor 57, yeah, I agree. Mark Briggs, I think the staff members affecting too much on Arteta's decision making. Why would he have liked Cazorla before? I think you're saying you would have liked Cazorla. Sorry, I'm trying to make head or tail that. Yeah, you would have liked Santi in before as part of the coaching staff. I mean, do you think Steve Round has that much effect on Arteta's decision making? Chris?
He'll definitely have a say. I think, it's difficult to say how much sort of say they have. I think ultimately, obviously, that the main decisions will be down to Arteta. He's the main man. But at the same time, they'll work collectively as a team, and they'll come to some sort of agreement as to what the best sort of thing to do is. As far as I'm aware, Steve Round has had a really positive sort of input in working with Arsenal and Arteta. He's experienced. He's been in the game a long time, had numerous jobs in the Premier League before, so he knows what he's talking about. He knows, what the job's all about. And obviously, we've got Mark Struvenberg as well, and he'll have a lot of say as well. You always see him talking to Arteta during the matches. I think Arteta, with how he lines up, with who he chooses, with who he picks for the games, it will be solely sort of his final decision, if you like. But they'll all, like I say, they'll all collectively have conversations, have meetings before the game and go, right, well, what is the best solution for this match? What should we do? And really, on paper, we've got quite a strong sort of backroom coaches, backroom staff of Arteta, experienced, like I said, been in the game a long time. And that was sort of the whole reason we got the sort of experience in with Arteta, because he's learning, he's still new to the management job. I think it's a good combination to have, and they'll certainly help Mikel. But again, obviously just speculating, is this the reason why sort of some things haven't worked on the pitch? Is it because Arteta's having the final say? Is he going against the words of the more experienced sort of coaching staff he's working with? We don't know. But I think they make a good team off the pitch. Certainly, they know what they're doing. But it just seems as if the decision making, the problems on the pitch just run a lot deeper than that.
Okay. Right. A couple more comments. Nathan Day 90. Shaka should never ever play at left back. Agreed. I don't know for anybody else, but for me, I just can't watch him there at all. Pepe can only play on the right. I disagree with that. I think Pepe can play on the left as well. What I like is the fact that Shaka and Pepe could swap wings. And I think if we had a centre forward, if we're playing sort of three up top, if we had a centre forward who could do that as well, which is why I like the idea of Martinelli up front, is that they could interchange. Shaka would need to improve his finishing to be able to really play at sort of centre forward, and Pepe I think could do it, but so I don't necessarily agree that he can only play on the right. We lost the time in the first leg when Arteta played Smith Rowe as a false nine. Yeah, I can't really argue with that. I don't really understand that decision. So anyway, we'll move on. I mean, the match itself didn't really offer an awful lot. There was a couple of opportunities for Aubameyang, hit the post. And normally when we do this, we'll talk about individual instances and things have happened and bookings and VAR and stuff. And there wasn't really much. So, I mean, we can condense it down. And, I mean, give me your feelings on the overall performance, and, you know, if there's any sort of instances you want to mention, far away.
Boy, I tell you, you know, I'm genuinely sad, you know, like genuinely flat about, you know, first and foremost, the performance last night. Because, you know, for me, we all knew, you know, we were all nervous, you know, leading up to last week's game, even more so leading up to this game, because we all knew the magnitude of the game in terms of our season. We all knew what was at stake in terms of, you know, the club's immediate future, in terms of like potentially not playing European football next season, you know, it having an impact on maybe the players that we could attract in the summer, maybe even how much we can actually spend. And given all of those factors, what they did on that pitch was just, for me, was completely just, it was just embarrassing. It really was. Like, I expected, you know, them to literally come out the blocks and just take the game to Villarreal. You know, you're playing at home. Okay, there are no fans, but you're playing at home. I'm thinking to myself, you know, you're going to press them. There's going to be urgency. When I saw the lineup, that's why I said I couldn't criticize the lineup too much, because I thought to myself, well, look, he's playing, you know, some of, well, the best attacking options he has at his disposal. But there was nothing, you know. It was just so disappointing. You know, after, I think it was after about 10 or 15 minutes, I actually said to you, Stephen, because we were watching it together, and I said to you, this has not started well. And I even said to you that I don't have much hope that this is going to change, because it's almost like, you know, with Arsenal, however they start a game, that's how they tend to finish a game. You know, sometimes there's a little bit of an uplift at halftime when he's got them in the dressing room and he has a bit of a talking to them. But generally, if they start badly, they just tend to continue in that vein. And we all kind of knew it was going to happen, you know, and it was just so disappointing. It was slow. It was labored. They looked nervous. It seemed as though, despite all the attacking options we had at our disposal, it didn't even look like we were going to score. Like, I think I saw a stat, something like over the 2 legs, we had 3 shots on target, you know, and Villarreal had more shots on target in last night's game than we had across 180 minutes. And a lot of the time, it looked as though we were the team that were winning 2-1 and didn't actually need to score. You know, for periods in the game, Villarreal were literally, they looked the more threatening. They looked like the team that was actually going to score. So, yeah, it's just, it was bad. It was bad for so many reasons, man. And it's hard to kind of put it into words, just how bad it was, you know. But yeah, I wasn't impressed. I'm still very much like, wow, you know, we lost that game, and the nature in which we lost the game and what that now means for the club. But yeah, the match itself, it wasn't enjoyable, it wasn't entertaining, and it's actually really deflating to know that, you know, whether it's the manager, I do think Arteta has to take some responsibility, because for me, yes, those are professional players, and yes, they should be up for that game, but you know, as the leader of those players, because that's what I class a manager. You know, having been a teacher myself and working in a classroom, I can see the difference between, you know, you can sometimes see the difference between the same class when they have 2 different teachers. So it's almost like, for me, like, where does that come from? Where does that just lack of effort and just pride, just a whole lack of pride? Like, they played as if they just didn't care. So yeah, it was, to be honest, it was rubbish. You know, it was, and there were times when I wasn't even watching the game, because it was difficult to watch. Like, it was difficult to watch your team play so badly on such an important night. You know, the fans even cancelled the protest to clap and welcome them to the stadium, and that's what they dished up. Embarrassing for me, completely embarrassing.
Chris, I mean, again, it's easier just to condense the whole sort of match into the one sort of conversation. I mean, in terms of the balance of play, did you think we deserved the win, or do you think that we set up wrong? I mean, what was your feelings on the game as a whole?
Well, where do I start? Look, we can sit here and say it was down to this, or Mikel should have done that properly, or if only, Aubameyang, scored those chances, etc. But what I've got to ask is, how can they put in a performance like that? We're on about a semi-final of a European competition, second leg. We know we've got to score, and they come out with that. I'm still, I know we talked about it earlier, Stephen. The saddest thing about it all is that, how the importance of this game. We knew what it meant. We knew what it could mean in the near future as well for the football club. But when that full-time whistle went, I didn't really feel anything emotionally. I wasn't that angry. I wasn't that surprised. I was sad. I'm still sad today. But I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't surprised. And that's the saddest thing. That's how far this football club has fallen. We've gone from competing with the very best in world football on the biggest stage in world football with some of the best players in world football. So much success over the years. We associate the class and the achievements with Arsenal Football Club. And apart from obviously those nice little FA Cup victories in the last few years, what has there been? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And it's all been coming to this moment. It's all been leading to this moment now where we are all asking ourselves, everyone associated with Arsenal Football Club are asking themselves, what next? Where do we go from here? And I genuinely don't have an answer. I really, really don't know.
Well, that doesn't bode well for the rest of the show.
No, well, no, I know, but just in terms of that question, where do we go from here? Well, obviously we've got to try and finish the season as strong as possible, but that's not really going to obviously mean much for us going forward. Obviously, apart from maybe the players' confidence, but I can't see it, it doing much. Maybe most of them won't be here next season. Mikel Arteta has come out and said that there's a few players still part of this squad that don't have futures at Arsenal. And obviously, there's been quite a few people come out and say that there's going to be a lot of work done over the summer. And well, I guess that's music to my ears a little bit.
Do you think, just on that, I've said it before, I think that maybe has been detrimental to the players. The fact that he has quite openly said that, this is not his team. And that, a lot of these players aren't basically good enough. He's not in so many words, but that is the message that's come across, that he thinks the players aren't good enough and aren't capable of doing what he needs them to do. Do you think that has got through to them and they've kind of gone, well, I'm not going to be here next season. What do I care whether they're in Europe or not?
I don't think it would have had that much effect, Stephen. The reason I say that is because if they really did give a damn, if they really cared about their future at the club, then they would have been performing all season. But they haven't been. They've been nowhere near good enough. To be associated with Arsenal Football Club, nowhere near good enough. And, personally, I found it quite refreshing with some of the things Mikel has come out and said previously about, there've been a lot of work to be done. Some players that, maybe aren't good enough and to be part of his plans moving forward. They can't fit in. And, I guess it shouldn't be a surprise for us to hear that, because we see it every week. We see it firsthand. We can tell that there's players here that just don't fit in and that, it isn't going to work for them here. So, look, just going back to last night in the game, because I know that, that was your question. It was just nowhere near good enough. I think, the ironic thing is I put a tweet on earlier yesterday and I said, how many times have we been, getting ourselves excited for a big game, expecting a huge performance from the boys, them putting everything on the line, them giving everything out on that pitch, and us, having a positive outcome. how many times have we asked for that this season only to be let down? And again, it happened last night in the biggest game of our season, and it's unacceptable. I said that in the tweet I put out. I said it to people I was speaking to before the game. I said if they put in one of those mediocre performances again, and it's not even close to putting in 110%, then they're just taking the pee. And I mean, yeah, we tried to score. Aubameyang hit the post a couple of times, unfortunate. But apart from that, did they really put in enough to try and get that over the line last night, in all honesty? And for me, no, they didn't. And it's inexcusable. It's unacceptable. I don't care who is the sort of main one behind it, whether it's Mikel, his backroom staff, the players themselves, certain individuals. I don't care. They need to all collectively have shame in themselves today. They all need to take a hard look at themselves, not just for last night, but for this season as well. And if I am the board, if I am Arteta, I am now having serious discussions with the people up top and saying, there's a hell of a lot of work to be done. We must get it absolutely right in this transfer window, this summer transfer window, because we've seen far too often us making rash decisions, bad decisions, which ultimately are costing us. We brought on Willian last night to try and help us get a goal. Has he scored for us since joining? No, 36 appearances, I think I said.
Yep.
0 goals. Yeah, fantastic. Just what we needed. So, that sums up for me. We hadn't had enough quality on the pitch last night, and one of our summer transfers comes on to try and help us get over the line, score a goal. But he's a player who hasn't scored a goal for us in 36 appearances this season. We're in a mess right now, and it's going to take a long evening. A long evening. I was reading the comment, and apologies. A long time. I'm glad he said good evening. He didn't say good evening because that would have just been taking the pee a little bit with Unai Emery's comment. But I could go on and on and on. And I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but there's so much to be done. A lot has got to be done, and it's got to be done in the right way. There is no more spaces. There is no more, chances for any incorrect decisions. We've got to get the summer absolutely spot on, and we've just got to hope for the best. There's not a lot us fans can do apart from hope for the best and hope the club get it spot on and do the right things. But if you're judging them based on their previous history of making decisions, I haven't got a lot of confidence. But there you go.
Yeah. I mean, aside from Aubameyang hitting the post twice, we did actually have 8 shots off target. And that's, I know everybody talks about, we only had 2 shots on target or whatever it was, and it's been the same all season. Is we've always looked at how many shots we've had on target, but no one ever mentions how many shots we've had off target, and that, to me, that says a lot. The fact that we actually had, I think it was about 10 or 12 shots last night, and we only managed to get 2 of them on target. That says a lot about the quality of the finishing, and that to me says we need desperate upgrades in players who can actually put the ball in the back of the net. There was one sort of incident just before we sort of finish off talking about this game that may have made a difference, and it seems to have very much gone under the radar today, just on obviously the back of the result. And it was this, and VAR.
Don't even get me started.
How is that not a penalty? Can anybody explain to me how that is not a penalty? G?
I can't explain it. It's just, as and as so many of us, watching and us, us three on this kind of panel, is that, I feel, it makes me feel sick in my stomach that, I was actually an advocate for VAR, and I actually supported it, and I actually wanted, you know, it to kind of be introduced into the game. It makes me sick, because, like I said previously, you know, I've grown up watching Arsenal get shafted week in, week out, and I thought to myself, you know, VAR can only improve, you know, decisions that are made in professional football, and how it's been introduced, and you know, in many ways it's made the game worse, you know, and how, you know, refs, officials cannot see this, you know, and cannot give this as a penalty. It's just beyond me. It's beyond me. It's a stonewall penalty, you know, and it wasn't even really picked up by the commentators, really. It just seems like, and I know people might say, "Oh, you know, you're just a sore loser." You know, I'm not saying we deserve to win the game. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we deserved to win the tie, because, to be honest, if I have to be frank, I don't think we were the better side over the 2 legs. But at the end of the day, these are key decisions. These are key moments in games, you know, where at the end of the day, the ref and the officials are on the pitch to make the right calls. And VAR has been introduced into football to ensure that when there are mistakes, you know, it's in place to correct those. But for some reason, it just seems as though it just never goes our way. And it just seems like all of a sudden, when it comes to Arsenal, and it comes to, you know, there being a key decision that could potentially, you know, change the game, it just doesn't go our way. Because let's face it, like, it doesn't, you know, obviously we're all sitting here and we're all, you know, really flat with regards to performance. We're all really disappointed. That's clear, you know. But at the same time, moments like this, they're key in matches, and they change matches. You know, I can't even remember the time it was, because, to be honest, the whole game is a blur for me now. I can't even tell you at what minute this happened. But nevertheless, you know, as bad as last night was, and as bad as the 2 legs were, had this been given, and had we converted it, and had we gone through, all of this this whole reaction, nobody would have even cared how we played. And that's the honest truth. So, you know, as much as we're sitting here and we are actually massively, you know, complaining and unhappy with the way that the lads performed, really, you know, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. You know, if we had scored a late winner, you know, yes, I probably would have had the odd conversation quietly to say, you know what, that was a really rubbish performance. But you know what? Hey, we're going to the final. You know, let's go on and win it. So these are key decisions, man, and it just makes me sick that, you know, we have this multi-billion sport where, you know, professional players and, you know, big decisions in big games, and they just either go unnoticed or they're just completely ignored. Because, you know, if that's not given, then what are we watching? We're watching WWE, or we're watching football? You know, what are we watching? You know, it's crazy. So, you know, I'm not surprised it wasn't given, and I didn't even really react. Like, when I saw it and I saw that it wasn't given, it kind of felt like I felt like after the game. It was like, okay, yeah, we lost again. Okay, yeah, we got shafted. Let's move on.
Absolutely. I said last week on one of the shows, you know, we've spent so much of the time this season talking about VAR as a game-changing moment, rather than, you know, being able to talk about it as it changed the moment in the match, but it didn't affect the outcome.
Yeah.
Yet again, as I say, this one went completely under the radar from last night, but it could have changed the outcome of that match. Yep. And we could be sitting here today talking about, you know, whilst it wasn't a great performance, going, well, at least we're in the final, and, you know, we've got a chance now of Champions League. As it is, 4 games left of the season, we're sitting here deflated, going, that's it, our season's kind of over now. So yeah, I mean, Chris, you any other thoughts on that you want to mention, or?
I remember obviously seeing it in the game last night as it happened. Saw the replay. I don't know if you can see on that picture, but I think obviously the Villarreal player had both arms around him as well. I have no words for that. It is like G touched on, you know, we were watching WWE or football or even rugby. It could be looking at that picture. Yeah, ridiculous. We've seen a lot of decisions this season, haven't we, not go our way. Yeah, yeah, I've got nothing to add on that. I think G got it spot on. You got it spot on as well, Stephen, touching on it. It ridiculous and baffles the mind how that wasn't given.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I mean, that's kind of it. It's over now. The Europa League, the dream's over. The trophy dream this season's gone. We're finishing no silverware. Realistically, no European football next season. It's a flat feeling. Any last thoughts on last night's performance before we move on? Chris, I'll come to you first. Or are you done talking about it?
Well, I think I've said the majority.
Just on the match itself.
Poor, not good enough. When we're talking about what was at stake, I expected so much more from Arsenal, and they just didn't deliver. Did we really deserve to go through to the final based on those two performances? Honestly, I can't say we did. Massively disappointing, nowhere near good enough, and bad.
Any last thoughts on the match?
Yeah, it wasn't good enough, point blank. And I think a lot of those players, regardless of my criticism of Arteta, I think the vast majority of those players, if not all those players, need to actually question whether, they're in the right profession. And most definitely if they're actually playing for the right club, because I don't see it.
Okay. Strong feelings. All right, a couple of comments then before we move on. GK, our top shooters this season have been Shaka, Auba, Laka, Pepe. Between the four, Shaka and Auba have been the most wasteful. I've said before, Shaka needs to improve his finishing. He's a great player, but he needs a lot of work on his finishing. Lacazette has been the most clinical. No secret why he's our top scorer. Razor 57, the problem with VAR is running a situation like this is in slow motion, and then it looks not that dramatic as it is in real time. Yeah, but even in real time, when I seen that, that's definitely a penalty. So I understand what you're saying, that sometimes it looks worse, and it's the referee has got to make the call. For me personally, I'd scrap VAR. And I've said it before. When I grew up playing football, and I'm sure it was the same for both of you. And Chris, you're much younger than us, but I'm sure even when you were playing football, you were brought up, taught you play to the ref's whistle, and the referee's decision is final. And that's as a kid. You're brought up to respect the referee, and do that. But I know you said before, G, you didn't, because you don't respect refs. But anywhere else in the pitch, the ref gives a foul. Buster, more than likely he would have. And I don't even see Shaka long-term future as a forward. He's more of a number 10. Yeah, I certainly not as a sort of central forward for me. I think wing, potentially a 10. All right. I think that's enough of last night. We'll move on, obviously, with other topics to discuss. But I think it's time to lighten the mood a little. And I know you have both been looking forward to this. G, you're looking to get a wee bit of revenge on Chris for the last time he was on. So I'm just going to play something here while I just get set up. So we'll be back in a wee second. G, sing your theme tune.
Oh man, I don't even know if I've got it in me tonight.
Come
it's
on,
crazy.
Dude. Let's have some fun.
Take on G, take me on.
So yes, Chris, this is a new element we've added. We've now given this segment a name. It's called Take on G, as you can see. And he's got his own overlay and everything.
Come on, man.
Brilliant.
Courtesy of Martin from Gumforce Edits, who does all our overlays. Thank you, Martin. Right, so same as last time, we have a picture quiz. I have 6 pictures, and it's basically first to guess the player. If you're watching at home and you want to play along, please do. Keith, evening Keith, how are you? Buster, is G going to get shafted again?
Thank you, Buster.
Seriously. I'm not sure if you've seen the show with Anthony from the Republic of Arsenal, Chris, but we did a quiz, a question quiz, and G got a harder set of questions, but it was not fixed, and he got completely embarrassed. So he doesn't want to be embarrassed again tonight.
It was suspect, to say the least. Put it that way.
Well, I'll try not to be too harsh on you again tonight, G. I'll give you a chance.
Yeah. You did win the first one, obviously. I think, what was it, 3-2 or 3-4-1? Was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, I beat the first guest, and then I've lost the last two.
So tonight we have 6 pictures, and 2 of them are actually worth 2 points. So you're not out of it at any point. You ready to crack on?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Okay, so picture number 1. Really easy to start.
Pepe.
G, you just got there.
Get in. Come on.
We take it to VAR. Actually, no, that's not bother.
It was a 1-0 to G, and just for clarity, there you go. That's the picture we used. Thank you to Dangerous Gunner, our friend from South Africa, who does these for me. Okay, number 2. Again, it's an easy one.
Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
Wow. Chris, what's happened? He's too quick off the mark for you tonight.
I did say I'd go a bit easy on him. Look, come on.
Listen, I need to restore some pride here, man.
So, and very quickly, just for clarity, there you go.
I need to get closer to my camera here. I think that's what's letting me down a little bit.
Right. A chance for you to square it up, Chris, because there's 2 points available for this.
Man.
Because there are 2 players, and I need them both. I need them both. If you only give me one, and the other person gets the other person gets the 2 points.
Ooh, that's harsh.
Yep.
Saka and Odegaard.
Chris got there first.
What? Seriously?
Yes. Just.
I don't know.
It was close.
Oh. What did the viewers think? That was close.
Who cares? I'm in charge.
No, that was close. That was close. That was close.
It was close, but I'm giving it to Chris. It was 2-2. So yeah, Odegaard and Shaka.
From last night.
Right. Halfway through. Let's go. Number 4 scores 2-2.
Tierney.
Yep. Tierney, well done.
I thought that was Martinelli. No, I wasn't. I couldn't get that one.
Tucked in shirt, G. Come on.
I was looking at the face.
There you go. Yeah. The original picture. So it is now 3-2, G. What is going on?
Is what it is, man. Martinelli.
G got it. Just. It was very, very close, but yeah, I'll give it to you, G. 3-3. And just, as ever, in interest of fairness, Martinelli. So 3-3.
Decider.
This is the final one, and this is worth 2 points.
Man.
So again, you have to get both players. If you only give me one, and the other person gets the second one, they win. It's all on this.
Guendouzi and Ozil?
No.
Guendouzi and
Bellerin?
No.
Guendouzi and Martinelli? Guendouzi and... No idea.
No.
Guendouzi and Bellerin? No. Guendouzi and Torreira? Who is that?
Oh, God.
I literally have no idea who that is.
I don't.
No, I have no idea.
A clue. They played last night.
No idea, man. Mary?
Nope.
There's definitely Guendouzi.
I don't know.
Guendouzi and Smith Rowe.
Yeah, no idea, man.
Took me a while, that one.
That literally looked nothing like Smith Rowe at all, boy. That was hidden very well. Does it? That was hidden very well.
Guendouzi and Smith Rowe.
That was hidden very well.
You win again.
That was a tight one.
5-3.
Is what it is.
Oh,
well done, Chris, man.
I thought you would have had that one tonight.
Yeah.
I think next time, Chris, we're going to have to go with a question quiz next time.
Yeah.
Give him a chance.
Yeah, we can't. This can't carry on. G, bless him.
Pretty much just kind of sums up Arsenal, innit? I'm kind of performing a bit like Arsenal tonight, so it is what it is.
Expect them to turn up, get revenge, but just not to be.
GK got it. It was Emil, absolutely. So that was a bit of fun. G, sing us out while I change the overlays.
I think it is BG. Come on the show and BG.
Do you know what? We all need a bit of a laugh and a bit of a
definitely
after yesterday. So
it was
Chris,
good.
you're 2-0 up. So yeah, I think the next time we will have to change it up and do a different thing, not a picture quiz.
Maybe he needs to come on and take you on. Maybe have a new game.
Do you know what, G? We'll give him questions about Cliff Baston, and we'll give you questions like how to spell your name. You know,
I might even get those wrong. You know,
we'll give you a chance.
Oh gosh.
All right. Try what we'll go to next. I think we'll have a chat about this one. Obviously, you know, we've talked about this a couple of times now, Chris, in the show in the last couple of shows, which is the potential takeover of Daniel Ek, the Cronky Out protests and stuff like that. You've been very vocal on your sort of support of the Cronky Out movement, and you know, very much don't want Cronky at the club. Daniel Ek, apparently, I mean, it was said on Sky Sports today that, you know, he now is ready to put his bid in place. He was waiting for the outcome of last night's match, and he's ready to move forward and is very keen to obviously get his hands on the club. I mean, what's your feelings around the sort of Daniel Ek situation? Do you think he's the right man? Do you think, you know, we should be looking for other buyers? I mean, what's your opinion?
Well, I'm happy that, you know, we know there's someone who's genuinely interested in you know, wanting to take over, and who's interested in taking a club off Kroenke's hands. You know, we know Daniel Ek is a very passionate Arsenal fan. He's been a supporter for 30 odd years. Understands the club very well. You know, as you would of a fan, especially for that long as well. You know, I know there's been sort of question marks over whether or not he should have been public with it all, but I think he's done exactly the right thing. I think he's played it really well. You know, with the whole sort of saga with the Super League and the backlash that received, the backlash that the owners received, and then publicly coming out and, you know, saying that he is interested. Just from that one tweet, that very first tweet he put out, he gained so much support and backing. And then obviously it became clear that it got a few legends involved, Henry, Vieira, Bergkamp, and the support for him just grew and grew. We know he's already been in touch with the Arsenal Supporters Trust, and he's made his sort of plans. His intention's very clear. He wants fan involvement back at board level as well. He's very much up for consultating with the fans and consulting them. You know, where is it going to go from here? I don't know. I think it's going to be a very long process. It's going to take time. I think we can all quite believe that the Kroenke family aren't going to go easily and go quietly. So, you know, it's exciting. Like I said, it's good to know. It's encouraging to know that there's someone genuinely interested in taking over. It's good that he's an Arsenal fan himself, so he gets the club. He knows how much it means to the Arsenal fans and the wider community. And being a football fan, you know, with Daniel Ek, it's something that we can't associate with the Kroenkes. You know, they're American, own several sort of businesses and franchises in America, most notably the LA Rams, an American football team. And I've actually this week done an interview with an American based site and publicator. And, you know, I like I said to them, I said, you know, you don't have that same connection. You know, we have owners here in England. You've got owners, you know, several clubs abroad who are genuine football fans who understand what the game's about, and also who are fans of their respective clubs that they own. And you just can't associate that with Kroenke. They've been so out of touch, haven't they, over their tenure at the club, and, you know, been so distant. Just sort of how relaxed, you know, Josh Kroenke was in that fans forum meeting the other week, you know, saying that he understands the frustration, he gets it, and that he's sorry. But does he really give a damn deep down? Of course he doesn't. He doesn't get why we're so angry. Probably sat at home with his dad and was like, you know, what on earth is all this about? Are they just being a bit dramatic? You know, like I say, very much, as you said earlier, Stephen, I'm very much supportive of the Kroenke out movement, and I will continue to sort of spread the message of you know, whether it's just a hashtag Kroenke out on Twitter and tweeting about their sort of negative time at the club. It now is all about putting on the pressure. You know, we saw the reaction to the Super League, and football fans can be underestimated at times, in my opinion. And I think we saw just how much, you know, football means to them, how much it means to us. And let's be clear here, football is nothing without the fans. The Kroenkes wouldn't even have a business with Arsenal Football Club without us. And the fan base, the supporters worldwide have the capability, has the potential to be extremely powerful when they all come together. And we saw that after the Super League collapsed. And I just feel that now is the right time, more than ever before, to keep piling on the pressure for the owners. Keep spreading the message, make your voices and feelings heard and known. And let's not back down from this. Let's keep making, you know, these strong statements, with it, whether it's a protest, you know, whatever. It's going to help put the pressure on. And Daniel Ek, like I say, I think he's done the right thing. It's going to be interesting to see how it develops now with this bid going in. It may have already gone in the last few hours, or it's certainly coming in the next hours. We'll have to wait and see. But he's got my full support, my full backing. I really hope it goes far, with him and the legends involved as well. That excites me. Like Henri said, it's about time we get that Arsenal DNA back into the club, back at board level. That's been missing for a very long time, and it's costing us. It's costing us deeply. And yeah, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I'm obviously intrigued to see where it goes from here.
Okay. Can you just get your opinion on, obviously you mentioned the legends there, and we know, you know, it's been heavily talked about that Henri, Vieira, Bergkamp, and I mean even more so this week as well, it's been mentioned about Wenger potentially being involved. I mean, for me, I've been very vocal in the fact that I've said, if that's the case, you know, I don't want a situation where they're not part of this bid in terms of money, because on the grand scheme of things, you know, their net worth wouldn't cover what we need for a transfer window, let alone, you know, buying any sort of substantial amount of the club. So where do they fit into this? You know, are they there for the PR? Are they there because, you know, Henri and Vieira are both coaches? And I think they've both made it clear in the past that they would like to come back to the club and coach the club. For me personally, I don't want to see that. and I've been very, very vocal about that I don't want to see either of them ever manage the club. And it's purely from the point of view that they are club legends. And you look at how we treat managers, and it can go sour very, very quickly. And I don't want them tarnishing their legacies by being poor on the job. And neither of them have really set the world on fire in terms of their coaching jobs so far. So why would we think they could come in and do any better job with Arsenal? And I'm not saying they wouldn't do a better job than maybe Arteta, but I still don't want to see that. I mean, what's your feelings around those guys being involved? Where do you see them fitting into this whole takeover?
I don't think they're going to be part, if obviously this does go ahead and they're involved. I can't see them being a part of sort of the first team setup, if you like. But I think they'll have a say at board level, maybe. I think Thierry Henry was speaking on Sky Sports the other night. He wasn't sort of, or he didn't give much away, in terms of what his role would be. And there seems to be that there's still a lot to talk about in that respect. But even if some legends have a say at board level and just get, have their own sort of views and opinions with the fans, with Daniel Ek, it's about, like I said a minute ago, like Henri mentioned, it's just about having that Arsenal DNA in the club again. We want people who care. We want people who get it. We want people who know what Arsenal Football Club stands for. So, what their roles will be, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, like I say, if it does, go ahead and it goes somewhere. But, I know you've touched on them sort of being a manager or coaching the club, Stephen. I wouldn't mind if we have sort of legends of the club sort of helping a manager at Colney, or having their sort of say in this and that. I'm very much with you. I don't want them to be a manager. We've seen how it's played out with an inexperienced manager, Mikel, and it's a huge gamble, a huge risk. And when we're talking about this process and the future of Arsenal, what needs to be done, where we need to get at or get to, it wouldn't be very wise of appointing another inexperienced young upcoming manager to lead this team going forward. So whether Mikel stays as manager or we get someone else in, it should be a more experienced appointment if that moment was to ever come. But I just think with the whole talk surrounding Daniel Ek and his partnership with the legends and the potential takeover, it very much sounds to me so far that they'll just have a say at board level, have their own sort of views and inputs with the fans to get sort of messages across, to have more clarity. So yeah, I mean that excites me, like I said, because I think it's really important. It's about time that we had someone at board level. But I know we could say Edu's ex-Arsenal player. He gets it, he knows. But there needs to be more. There needs to be more figures. There needs to be more heads at board level with that Arsenal DNA, with that understanding, with the supporters, and sort of the what Arsenal stands for, if you know what I mean. So we'll have to wait and see.
Okay. All right. We'll move on. G, obviously, your feelings on Arteta they've kind of changed recently. I know you're a bit like myself. You were never kind of Arteta in or Arteta out. And we've both sort of very much sort of sat on the fence with the whole thing to the point where, picking splinters out of our arse. How are you feeling today about Arteta? Do you think he is the right man to lead us forward, or do you think it's time that he goes? I mean, what's your feelings on
it? Before I kind of get onto Arteta, I think for me, just to kind of back up what Chris said, I think anybody who buys Arsenal is going to be a businessman, first and foremost. But I think what we do need at Arsenal Football Club is a businessman who is a football fan and who is an Arsenal fan. Because I think that only if that happens, are we going to see us, have an owner that is going to actually, inject, their wealth into the club and actually spend the money that's needed to rebuild the squad. Because ultimately, what this comes down to, if we're being completely honest, is we want an owner who, yes, understands the game, who understands football, who is an Arsenal fan, but ultimately, who is going to actually invest, a huge amount of money to actually rebuild this squad. So I think if we fix that, I think everything else kind of just will fall into place naturally. I'm not sure if that takeover goes ahead. I'm not even sure if Arteta will have a job, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know if Daniel Ek comes into the club, if he actually keeps Arteta in his position. Now, in terms of my feelings about Arteta, when we got rid of Wenger, I just thought to myself, we're Arsenal Football Club, put some respect on our name. We're a big team. And I just thought to myself, it was a real opportunity to kind of get a household name in, a big manager, a kind of serial winner. And they obviously didn't really do that. So now it's so difficult, this kind of Arteta in, Arteta out. If I have to be completely honest, I've got huge question marks over Arteta. And the reason why that is because I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the team, and I'm thinking to myself, regardless of how, we can sit here as fans and we can say, 50% of this squad needs to go, because they're not good enough. But that's because we're looking at our football team and we're saying, we're used to the Invincibles. We used to winning Premier Leagues. We're used to winning FA Cups. But if you look at the squad, man for man, this squad is not the 10th best team in the division. It's not. There's not a football fan in the world that can convince me that some of the teams that are above us in the league and and the vast majority of the teams that have taken points from us throughout the season are better than us. Aston Villa do not have a better team than us. Leicester do not have, in my opinion, a better team than us. West Ham do not have a better team than us. I would say there's probably about 5 teams in the league that definitely probably have better squads than us. And for me, Arteta in the league should be pushing for like 6th spot. Now, people might say, oh, but there's not much difference between 6th and 10th. No, there is. There's actually quite a bit of difference between 6th and 10th. So I believe, this football, like most jobs, it's a results business. You're in the job and you're expected to get results, regardless of what you have at your disposal. You're supposed to do the best you can do with what you've got. And for me personally, he hasn't done that. He's not bringing out the best in those players. So on that side, I would say he needs to go. He needs to be fired, because I don't honestly believe he's done the job that we expected him to come into. On the other hand, he's a rookie. He's an inexperienced manager. This is his first managerial role. So in a way, it's like, the board have kind of put him in an impossible situation. Oh yeah, he took the job. He took the job. If you can't do the job, then he shouldn't have taken it. But he is an inexperienced manager, and he is learning. But that just kind of annoys me, because I just think to myself, should we really have appointed a manager that is learning his trade? Like, we're not some kind of experiment. We need a manager that's going to come in and actually, improve us. And there were managers available at the time. There are big names. Arsenal's a big club. We could have gone for other managers. And then on the other side, I just think to myself, well, if we fire him, then what? So as much as I don't feel as though he's done as good a job as I would have liked, right now, where we are as a club, it doesn't even make sense firing him, because we've got bigger issues. If we bring in somebody else now, and then what? At the end of the day, if we're gonna keep Arteta, because that's all the noise coming out of the club. Ultimately, it's down to the board to back him. If they don't back him, if I was Arteta, and I just told them, listen, you need to give me some money just to rebuild this team, I'm gonna walk.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. I know. I'm sorry. I'm conscious of time here. We still very quickly to touch on the West Brom game. But I know, Chris, just the last time you were on with us, you and I shared very similar views on Arteta, and that we both felt he needed more time, and he needed a decent transfer window to be backed and to sort of see what next season brings. And obviously that was a few weeks ago. You were on with us, and that was your feelings then. Have your feelings changed in any way, given the level of performances recently, or are you still of the belief that he needs a wee bit more time and another window or two to really put a stamp on things?
Well, I must admit, certainly for the first time after last night's game, I started sort of getting the question marks surrounding him. Especially, obviously concerning the team's performance. Why on earth are they playing like this? No enthusiasm, no leadership. The quality wasn't good enough. We obviously spoke earlier about the importance of this game, and it was just nowhere near the standards required. So I was disappointed in that respect, and I sort of thought, is this on Arteta? Is this because of Arteta and the way he set them up? And obviously his decision to take Aubameyang off when we're needing a goal, I think he could have taken someone else off, in my opinion, instead of Uber. He'd gone the closest to scoring all night. That baffled me a little bit. This is such a difficult one, isn't it? Kind of what G said. We could sack him. Yeah, of course we could. We could get someone more established, more experienced who's maybe won trophies, won titles abroad or over here. But for me personally, and this is a personal opinion, it runs a lot deeper than the manager. I think we could. I think I may have even said this on the show before. I know I've certainly said it numerous times. We could have the best manager in the world in charge of this Arsenal team. We could have a Guardiola. We could have a Klopp. And I personally just can't see him doing much more than what's already being done with this group of players, in all honesty. It runs a lot deeper. Like I mentioned earlier, there's certain players, certain individuals here that are not fit to wear the shirt, are not good enough to represent Arsenal Football Club. And it's as simple as that. A lot of work off the pitch has got to be done in the summer. We've got to sort of carry on that ruthless approach in January and offload those individuals and get them out and bring in people that have proven that they are good enough at this level, that are proven to be committed to their clubs and always give 110%. I mean, certainly what I will say very quickly, Stephen, is that if we spend a lot in the summer, if we have a really good, strong summer, and we get a lot of quality in and ship out those individuals that aren't going to make it here, and Arteta still undelivers next season, and we're sort of in a similar situation this time next season, then yeah, for me, the something's got to change, and that is probably the manager, because we can't carry on like this. Certainly if we're going to continue struggling and not get to where we want to be, not hit our targets, and you'd imagine that a more experienced head is going to have to be coming in through the door.
Okay, great. I'm going to put you both in the spot very, very quickly. I don't think he will get sacked. And I think the fact that there's so much sort of unknown at the minute in terms of takeover bid and stuff, I think if the Cronkies are in any way considering selling, they won't sack him, because they'll think, well, that's the next person, they can worry about that. If we sack him now, he's got to be paid off, so we'll let them sort that. If the unthinkable, well, not the unthinkable, but if it happened that Arteta got sacked tomorrow, who would you want to replace him? You could pick what manager you want. You got to be realistic here, and we're not getting Pep, we're not getting Klopp, but who realistically? G, come to you first.
For me, I think one candidate stands out, and I think that's Allegri.
Okay, Chris.
Yeah, off the top of my head, realistically, who's also available at the moment? Again, I'm with G. Allegri, experienced, proven record, good defensively as well. He'd certainly get that defence shored up and get that more strong. So yeah, I'd have to say Allegri as well.
Okay. Again, I'm sort of conscious of time, and we haven't sort of touched on the fact we do have a game coming up on Sunday. Now, obviously, we have 4 games left in the league. Realistically, I've already been saying, for me, they're dead rubbers. I was saying to G, I was looking at the table last night. And, we need to win all 4 games to finish on 61 points. And we need four teams above us to lose basically over half their games. It's not realistic to think we're going to get European football next season. So, for me, this is an opportunity if Arteta does want to experiment, to do it over the next 4 games with some players. He said last night that, the only way he can fix things is the reaction on the field. And, is he going to put out kids? Is he going to play full strength sides? What's he going to do? And Chris, we'll come to you first. I'll bring up the team that you sent me across earlier on that you think will, I'm not sure this is the team you think will play or the team you would like to see play. But talk us through your selection just sort of briefly and give us a sort of rough idea of why you've gone for this.
Well, this would be the team that I'd like to see play. I don't think it will be the team that Arteta picks, but we'll start up top with Lacazette. I think obviously he was on the bench last night, came off for the last few minutes. If he's back fit and available, then I just think this season overall we've looked much better with him up top. So that's why I'd go with him. But at the same time, like you just said, with experimenting, maybe it's a good chance to put Balogun in there and give him a shot. He signed that new contract. He's got his future here for the next few years. So maybe experiment with him, see how he gets on in the Premier League. Martinelli on the wing again, obviously after not playing much last night, obviously come off the bench as well. Just think it's a good time for him to start again, get some minutes under his belt. We know what he brings to the side, and he'll always put in a solid performance. Shaka, too good to leave out. Simply, that's the reason I've put him in there. Very, very important player for us. I know we must be protective of him as well. He's young. He's been playing a lot of minutes, as has Smith Rowe, who's beside him there. But I just think they're two very important players. I liked Smith Rowe, how he played last night. I thought, there wasn't one player that really stood out. All of them weren't great, but Smith Rowe sort of always gives it his everything, gives it his all. And he really impressed me with his previous performance away at West Brom. That was very good from him. So just hoping we could see more of the same from him if he was to play. Now I know Xhaka's there. We don't obviously know the extent of his injury from last night, but I think if it isn't too serious and he is fit and available, then I'd just like to see him back in midfield. Please, Mikel, see some sense and put him back into his natural position. That's where we'll see the best from him, especially alongside Partey, who also I think goes well with him and plays better with Granit beside him. I've put Cedric at left back. We know Tierney is back from injury. He is available if we need him. But last night we could see that he was nowhere near match fit. Again, we need to be really, really protective of him. We know that he is prone to injury. And the last thing we need to be doing is playing him too much too early. So I'd give him a rest again straight away, let him recover more, let him build his energy and his fitness up. And just put Cedric back in. Obviously, it come out after the game that he'd been suffering with a stomach bug. He was in hospital apparently, but he could have played last night if Mikel wanted him to. But for some reason, he risked Tierney. I think Cedric's played well there when he's been called upon. I know it's not his natural position. Obviously, he's a right back, but I think he's done well at left back, considering, like I say, it's not his natural position. So I think it would be wise to put him in. Gabriel, David Luiz, again, both didn't play last night. I think Gabriel, on paper, I've said this a few times, still think Gabriel on paper is our best centre-back. Started the season really, really strongly, solid defender, obviously still young, got a lot to learn. But, for some reason, I think it's probably just confidence. He hasn't been as great lately, but I still think we've got a very good defender in Gabriel, and he'll play a very important role for us moving forward. So get him back in alongside Luiz if he's fit. Got that Brazilian chemistry back there at the back. And like you touched on earlier, Stephen, we missed that sort of leadership from Luis and his experience last night. So obviously he's been rested, and obviously if Mikel, if David believes that he's ready to go, then I think he should come back in. And Chambers back in at right back, I think. Deservedly, he's received a lot of praise when he's played at right back this season. Again, it's not really his natural position. He's naturally a centre back, although he did start off as at Southampton as a right back as well. So he's got the experience there. But we really needed someone to come in and perform much better, because we weren't really seeing that with Bellerin. Cedric was being used out on the left with Tierney injured, and Chambers come in and done really well, I thought. So I think after, again, he was rested last night, it's just another opportunity for him to come back in and get some more playing time. He deserves it. And obviously, finally, last but not least, Matt Ryan in goal. Obviously, still on loan. Apparently, we are looking to make that a permanent deal in the summer. But again, when he's played, I've been impressed with him. He's not really put a foot wrong. He's a good communicator, a solid goalkeeper, in my opinion. He's capable of making some really good saves. I just think with Leno again playing last night, although I know you don't sort of burn much energy as a goalkeeper, I just think Ryan deserves some more playing time before the season ends. We've only 3 or 4 games left. I just think he deserves some more playing time before the season ends, and that would be the starting 11 I would like to see on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really anything I can sort of pick out at fault there. I mean, in terms of the Smith Rowe thing, I would say that I would agree in terms of playing him over Odegaard. Purely from my point of view, I realistically at this point now think the Odegaard thing's done. He won't be back next season. I can't see it. We've been linked in the last couple of days, and again I've seen it today with Nabil Fekir from Betis, and the talk of us going for him as our sort of number 10. And whilst that doesn't necessarily fill me with a lot of excitement, for me, I just think Odegaard's going to be beyond our level at this point. So for me, I would be playing Smith Rowe in every game between now and the end of the season, build his confidence, give him minutes, get him that more experience. Decent team. And that team should be enough. If that was the team that he played, that should be enough to beat West Brom comfortably. Quick comment, Keith. I'm still livid, but thinking about West Ham game when Arteta said the players didn't follow his game plan. That worries me immensely. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be watching on Sunday for responses from both the manager and players. Yeah, there needs to be a response. Coming off the back of that last night, we need to see a big response from them. G, having looked at your team,
I'll make it quick.
I was going to say, I know that this is the team that you would like to see. It's not the team you think Arteta's going to play, because it's not the team Arteta's going to play.
No.
But yeah, if you can try and do this in less than 20 minutes, No,
I'll do it. I'll literally do it in about a minute.
Go for it.
Yeah, so this is not the team that Arteta's going to play. And to be honest, I don't think this is the team Arteta can afford to play, because Arteta needs to win games. As much as we're all sitting here and saying they're 4 league games and they don't mean very much, I think in terms of Arteta and his immediate job, I think winning those 4 games might not completely sway the fan base, but there's nothing better than lifting the morale than winning games. So he needs to win this game. So he's not going to pick this team, but this is the team I would pick. And I'll tell you the why in a nutshell. I'm not going to go through player for player. For me, this is the team of individuals that I see that have a long-term future at Arsenal Football Club. So they are either the players that I would like to see us sign, keep, and not potentially sell under any circumstances in the summer. As controversial as that may sound, I think maybe other than maybe Pepe and maybe 1 or 2 more, the rest for me can go. So I don't really see a point in honestly playing them. This for me is a team of Arsenal's future and a core of players that we should build around. The rest, if a good offer comes in, I'd sell.
Got it?
Yep.
Wow, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I would love to see players like Balogun and Aziz get a wee bit of game time. I'd be interested to see how Gabriel and Mari play together. In terms of the sort of two left-footed centre defenders, I don't see any reason why they couldn't play together. And yeah, I mean, like you've both sort of said about Ryan, and I'm saying you've both said because I've had this conversation with you before as well, G. I think he deserves to get some more minutes. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't make that move permanent come the end of the season. And I think as well, based on the comments that Leno has made, you know, it seems very up in the air whether he'll even be at the club next season. And I don't know, obviously, if you've seen this today, I mean, Charles Watts put it out there. I think you may have actually retweeted it, Chris, or potentially done something on it yourself about this guy, Onana, from Ajax, who's currently suspended on doping allegations, but you know there's potential that we could bring him in the summer for 7 million, because he has 1 year left on his contract. Chris, I mean, what would you feel about this if Leno was to leave and we would bring him in?
Well, obviously, like you said, he's got that ban at the moment for doping allegations. And I think, as Charles mentioned in the article, a lot's going to depend on the outcome of that, because he's got another hearing or something like that. But he's a very talented goalkeeper. I've watched him a couple of times. You know, a lot of potential. And, you know, for 7 million, you can't really go wrong with that, really, can you? Especially if we're, you know, when we're talking about improving the team. Goalkeeper isn't really at the moment, with obviously Leno and Matt Ryan both at the club, and Renarsson as a third choice. You know, a goalkeeping position isn't really sort of a priority for us in the summer. And I'd prefer if we put obviously a lot more money and focus on putting a lot more money in other areas. So for 7 million, if we can get a deal done, if indeed Leno is leaving, then I think it could turn out to be great business. I still think he's got a lot to prove, this guy. Like I said, he's very talented, highly rated, still young. So yeah, it'd be quite an exciting deal if it happens. So it'll be interesting to see what develops with not only him but with also Matt Ryan and Bernd Leno himself.
I mean, for me, I think if Leno was to go, I think getting this guy and getting Matt Ryan for essentially you'd pick the two of them up for less than 10 million. And to me that's fairly good business, and you know I think the two of them would push each other for that starting spot, so I wouldn't be against. I mean, G, what's your sort of thoughts?
Yeah, just kind of given Leno's comments, and I think, you know, the fact that we're not going to be playing European football next season, I don't even really think we've fully seen the ramifications for that, even for some of our more experienced players in our team. I have no doubt that the likes of Lacazette, Aubameyang, Leno, Shaka, you know, their heads may turn, and for some fans, a lot of those players, you know, can go. And to be honest, you know, I've been an Arsenal fan my whole life, and I've seen the likes of Vieira and Henry leave the club, Van Persie leave the club. So, in all honesty, the way I feel about their performances this season, I wouldn't lose any sleep about any of them leaving. And if we can move them on and get good money for them, and we can actually reinvest that money and build for the future, then, you know, let's do it.
Okay, thanks. I know obviously we're going to see now over the next couple of weeks the transfer speculation is going to increase and increase and increase. And I know we plan on doing an awful lot of shows sort of during the summer. We will probably do a daily show, but I would like to do something maybe in a couple of weeks where we start to really look into these rumours. I think it's a little too soon just yet. You know, I think probably in 2 weeks' time, and I think we'll maybe sort of starting and look at these rumours in a wee bit more depth and sort of talk about the squad and stuff. And Chris, love it if you'd come back on and maybe do that show with us if you're free.
Absolutely, yeah. Should look,
And sort
look
of,
forward to it.
anything you're hearing through the grapevine of the other journalists and stuff that you would chat to, and give us your insight and your feelings as well as both a fan and as someone who works within that sort of side of things. So that said, I mean, I think I'm very conscious of the time here. We've been on longer than we sort of planned to yet again, as seems to happen. But it's been enjoyable. It's been good, and certainly for me to listen to you guys get some of that stuff off your chests and things, and have a good conversation around last night and around sort of the future. Everything's still very much up in the air. But as Arsenal fans, we love this club, and whilst we get frustrated and angry, it's all because we want the best. We just want to see our club successful, and I see an awful lot of people having a go at each other today on Twitter, and people calling each other they're not real fans for this and that. And everybody is a real fan. We just all choose to display it in different ways. I'm not sitting here angry and shouting and ranting and raving and giving off and giving myself a heart attack over a football match. But it doesn't make me any less of a fan than someone who is having to take heart medication because they've given themselves that much stress today. So Chris, thank you as always for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on with us again. Bit of fun with the take on G. You're now 2-0 up.
Man,
see if you can keep that streak going next time. Anybody who's watching live, thank you at the minute. If you do have any last comments or questions for any of the panel, drop them in the comments now while G does his close.
No,
Go
bro.
ahead, G. Take it away.
And a little note on that. Listen, I'm not going to give up. Yeah, I'm not like this Arsenal side. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to restore some pride. So next time you come on, we're going again. All right.
Let's do it. I love our attitude, G. I like it.
Yeah, I don't care. I'll lose 10-0. I'll still go for the 10-1. I don't care. Right. So yeah, you guys can follow us on our socials. So we are on Facebook, which is Cannon Chatter. We are on Instagram, which is @Cannon_Chatter. We've, I don't think he's even going to put Twitch up there anymore. But yeah, in terms of Twitter, that's where most of you know us from. Our official Twitter account is @CannonChatter, and our individual Twitter accounts, Stephen's is @SBCannonChatter, and mine is no longer @GTalksArsenal. It's now @GRantsArsenal. So yeah, obviously, thanks for watching. If you're watching now, wherever are you in the world, have a great evening. If you're watching at a later date or time, please do, make sure you do hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and do also hit the like button. Massively appreciate your support so far.
Great. Quick comment. Gary from Don't Waste a Tweet.
Gary.
You did. 9 o'clock UK time. Come on, man. Chris, as I say, thank you. If the guys aren't familiar with you, how do they follow you and interact with you?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on again, gents. I wish we could have been speaking a bit about something a bit more positive, but that's football. For those who don't follow me already, you can follow me on Twitter @CDavison_AFC. Just regularly keeping all the fans up to date with the latest news around the club, bringing out articles and interviews every now and again. So be sure to follow me. And once again, gents, thanks for having me on. Pleasure as always.
No worries.
Pleasure, man. Thank you.
Sorry, 1 sec. I'll just take that off. And just for fun, we'll do a Stephen's final thought. And it is, do you know what? It's very much the same as it was the other night. There is a protest planned on Sunday, I believe, at the Emirates for the whole Cronky Out movement. And whilst we support it, I'll say the same thing again. Remember that when you're there, if you're there, you're not only representing the club, but you're representing the fans who can't be there. So you're representing G, you're representing Chris, you're representing the guys in the chat who can't be there. So act the way we would all act. Don't be just, don't be going and being hooligans for the sake of it. We need to make it clear that we're not happy with the ownership, that we want change, that we want things to move on. But we don't want to be putting the club in a bad light. We don't want the press looking on, and I mean, the press will jump on us, for anything, the likes of Sky and stuff. We do anything wrong, they will be all over us, and it will be the negatives that is portrayed, not the positives of what we're actually trying to do. So remember that you're representing us as well as the club. Gary, I got this wrong. Work. No worries, Gary. You can always watch it back anyway and make sure and drop a like on the video. Keith, spot on, Stephen. We may be downright now, but divided is not the way to go. We all love our club. Let's just stick together and understand our differences of opinion. Absolutely. And on that note, I think we'll bring it to an end. Chris, thank you as always. G, thank you as always. And we will be back on Monday night to have a look back at the West Brom game. And hopefully it'll be a bit more positive. And Chris, we will hopefully see you then in a couple of weeks, and we'll start getting into transfers.
Cool.
Mark, you missed my comments, mate. Sorry. Let me go back very quickly. See if I can find a comment from Mark. I did bring it up on the screen. Not Joe Willock's biggest fan, but scored again for Newcastle. Saliba having a great season in France, and Guendouzi is a good player if he sorts his attitude out. All young and will improve. Yeah, I mean, there is a core of good young players, but we'll get into that. I think, as I say, we'll do a transfer show in a couple of weeks where we'll really start and talk about that. So, good evening, and talk to you all again soon.